All right, everyone, we got Trump's basic response seemingly to Nancy Pelosi's suggestion that he should delay the State of the Union because the Secret Service can't function because they'll miss a paycheck, which is bullshit. And the Secret Service has said, no, we can do it. And Nancy Pelosi actually came out and said, well, I don't care because she's crazy. She wants to pick a fight with the Secret Service. I don't know how well that's going to go for her. Trump has responded in a legendary way. And it's like a gift from God to see a situation in which liberals are actually chastising the suggestion that a politician should have to privately pay for something that they're doing. Nancy Pelosi and some others were going to take a trip over to Brussels and to Belgium, I guess, talk to the EU leaders or some bullshit. Leaders so-called. Then they were going to sweep by Egypt and Afghanistan. And like when they're there, they security and everything costs a lot of money. Now, Trump comes out, he sends a letter to her, and she apparently gets the note when they're on their way to the airport. Oh, well, you can't take the military craft that we're going to bring you there. There's a shutdown, so I can't allow you to do that, Nancy. You can go there privately if you want to, but you're going to have to pay for commercial airfare. I'm trying to think to myself, Nancy Pelosi's like, well, I got to go on this trip, and there's no first-class tickets left. Oh, God, I got to sit next to little people. And how funny that would be. This is a brilliant response. She tried to troll Donald Trump. Now look at what she's done. She just, it's going to make his weekend. Like, the sheer response was so great. And if you look at the salt coming from people enough, they immediately fixated on, well, he revealed that this plan was in effect. Oh my God, there's some term, some stupid acronym they were using. Oh, the people weren't supposed to know about this trip until they were already there because of security concerns. It's like, bullshit, dude. What he's saying is he doesn't want her to go at all. He's saying, look, there's a shutdown and we can't afford the security that you would need anyway. What's the fucking point? We're in a shutdown, Nancy. Come back. You should stay in D.C. and negotiate with me and do your fucking job. And by the way, you should pay your own way. Like, Trump works for free. And I understand, it's a little bit like the story of the widow's mite. I mean, he doesn't miss the presidential salary because it's peanuts compared to what he already makes. But it's a good, on pay. It's better than the alternative of him taking money he doesn't need. As a public servant, he's an older dude. It's like your family will never want for anything, don't worry. Nancy Pelosi acted so mad. So funny. Apparently, like, they returned her luggage and she's like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, read this. And hands her the letter. I'm just trying to imagine the initial reaction. Like, the initial look on Nancy Pelosi's face must have been absolutely wonderful. Like, the only time that you can affix the term beautiful to anything belonging to Nancy Pelosi must have been her bug-eyed response. I'm trying to think of Chuck Schumer, too, when he gets wind of it. He's like, oh my God. He's like, I warned Nancy not to do this. I warned her not to try to go toe-to-toe with him. It's like some total newbie trying to go up against a roast master or something like that. I think I'm going to take on George Carlin in a debate. No, it's great, and he's right to do this. We are in a shutdown. Why should we be paying through the nose to provide security on a trip like this that isn't strictly essential anyway? We're going to meet with the leadership of Egypt. Who fucking cares? Nancy Pelosi is going to meet with people. By God, they're going to really miss that wonderful time. Oh yeah, hi Nancy. Hi person who worked with the president who tried to usurp the secular government of our country. How are you doing today? Afghanistan. Oh, hi Taliban. Hey Nancy. Yeah, thanks for those weapons back in the Obama era. Too bad your party sucks and lost power, and now Trump wants to withdraw, leaving us high and dry to fight ISIS, which will be the funniest fucking thing in the world. You go to Brussels. Oh, hi person who represents a government we no longer really get along with and is trying to put the screws to your own government, you fucking traitor. It'd be really funny. I'm sure they're going to miss the astonishingly high degree of diplomacy, and it's very, very, lots of pomp and circumstance, very benevolent. Nancy Pelosi is such a wonderful person. They all wanted to shake her hand. I'm sure that they'll miss out on that. Their kids wanted to get, her autograph because she's like cool or hip or something. It's like, no, send Beto O'Rourke over if you want, true cringe fest. I love it. This is exactly why I voted for Trump. Stuff like this reinforces my belief that I made the right decision, regardless of some of the drawbacks at the moment that you can see that are all too evident. Most of that, though, is the responsibility of the Democratic Party. They're sitting there, they're strangulating the government for a month because they don't want to allocate a small amount of money to shore up our border defenses. Drudge put something out the other day. And Cortez with stupid speech. Drudge points out, hey, half the border doesn't even have a fence along it. Yeah, it's a rugged area, but there's no physical impediment there. There's really, other than some scattered patrols, there's nothing standing in between anyone from the Latin American region of the world and the United States. There's nothing there. There's not even a fence. And there are plenty of areas where there's pedestrian blockage, but there, there's nothing that could stop a vehicle. There are areas where they've got a barrier that's more formidable. Like on the Californian side, it's funny. The Californian side is the best defended. It's funny that the Californian border is the one that actually has like the most improved border security. And then the southernmost Texas, right along like where I was living, I've actually seen the border there. Most of it, I believe, is just fence, if I remember correctly. And it's kind of cool, and to be able to see the border. You're up on the highway that's going through. You can see it in the distance because you're only a few miles away. What I would say is this. Nancy Pelosi should shut up, and she should stay in D.C. and do her job. It is kind of odd. It's like, oh, I'm going to take this super secret days-long vacation, basically. I mean, she's been partying it up on vacation this whole time anyway. Oh, woohoo, there's a shutdown. I'm going to go to, what is it, Hawaii or wherever she's going, to stay at a resort that costs like $10,000 a fucking night. Yeah, so she blows through, as much as I make in a year, I could stay a week in the sort of places that she would stay. Then I'd be flat broke. I wouldn't be able to eat anything. Like, you're not eating off the sushi cart. Can you imagine how much her food bill is, considering the kind of lavish lifestyle she likes to live? I mean, the woman's a multi-millionaire. She's rich like Trump is. So, not like, she didn't make it doing any honest work, but she did it in dynastic politics. When you're in politics for half your life, you can make a lot of money giving speeches to wealthy donors because they all want you to come and speak at their weddings. No, come to this civic function in my hometown. I'll give you 10 grand to give like a 10-minute speech. It'll be the talk of the town for days to come. Okay. They do it for prestige. Rich people like to do stuff like that just for the prestige. Oh, come to my wedding. Come to my daughter's wedding. Come meet my son-in-law. Let's go fishing for an hour and get a photo op because it'll impress my friends. That's the sort of thing that they do. And Nancy Pelosi, meanwhile, so it's like Nancy Pelosi is really, really upset over this, but she thinks that it's disgraceful that we would fund border security within our own borders to defend our own country in a fully defensive, autonomous, perfectly acceptable, internationally non-condemned manner by defending our border. That's wasteful spending, it's evil. But it's okay during the shutdown to provide elaborate security and transportation to a bunch of military institutions so that Nancy Pelosi, who is not chief diplomat of the United States after all, who is ultimately secondary in the diplomatic sense, represents the legislative side of government, not the executive side that controls many of those diplomatic functions. She thinks it's perfectly acceptable to spend. How much was it going to cost for her to take this trip? How many millions of dollars for her and the other people there to provide security and transportation? That's not wasteful spending. Highly important. And by the way, that dadgum Trump, he broke news of this, and he wasn't supposed to do this. It was supposed to be secret and shit. I was just telling you not to take the trip. So, I mean, he doesn't really have an option now, does he? That's about all. Peace out.